Hello and welcome to another edition of the United Views Transfer Roundup for January. I'm Tom Doyle, and unfortunately Haley couldn't be with us today, but I'm joined by Shaun. Hey Shaun.
Hi, Tom. Nice to be here.
Cheers for stepping in at the last minute.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool. All right, let's kick things off first with a rumour from yesterday. We've got reliable sources at ESPN saying that Chelsea are after Fiorentina's Juan Cuadrado. And obviously, Shaun, we've been linked with him since the summer. He's a great Colombian right-sided player. He can defend, he can score goals. He's 26, good age. He said he could leave the club in the future. But as ever, Chelsea are interested in the United target and could well take him. What do you think of our right-sided options? Do you think we need a new right-sided player, or are you happy with who we've got at the moment?
Well, I would like to just say, can we just double check with our scouts and make sure they're not working for Chelsea as well? Because we do seem to lose an awful lot of players to Chelsea that we're linked with. And obviously, the press just come up with stories, oh, blah blah this, blah blah that. But we do. I mean, historically, since Abramovich has come in, we do seem to have lost a few targets. Robin, Essien, etc., etc. So if we could just check what our scouts are up to and whether they're sort of passing the information on, that would be ideal.
It's probably best not to talk about United scouts at the moment, given one just got fired for suggested stuff. We seem to have a problem in that regard, don't we? But
well, they're still getting used to the iPads that Moyes bought them last year.
Privacy settings, guys. Privacy settings.
Right. Well, as regards to our right-sided option, I think everybody has a view on Rafael and Valencia. Valencia seems to be able to have a pretty good game and then get injured, and then when he comes back, he's just full of crap, and can't cross the ball, or he just rifles it into the defender's legs, out for corners, and 9 times out of 10 it actually bounces back to him and goes out for a goal kick. I don't think he's an option long term. Obviously, he's done all right filling in for Rafael, who obviously just doesn't seem to be able to stay fit. Yeah. I know, obviously, like I said just now, there's a lot of views on Rafael. A lot of people do rate him. A lot of people think that he's a bit clumsy, gives away free kicks, penalties, and stuff like that. But it all comes with maturity.
It does. I mean, it's frustrating, like you say, because he's got so much talent. We've seen that talent time and again, in big games, but he just can't stay fit. It's a problem United players have had, over the past few years. We've had a lot of injuries, but it's especially frustrating for, a young player that we've seen come through, and he just can't quite get that run of games that he needs.
No, so I mean, whenever anybody comes back from injury, there are the odd passes that go astray. They're not obviously 100% match fit, but Rafael just seems to sort of get there. Yes, he is a bit clumsy, and yes, he does give away free kicks, and the referees give penalties against him, whether they're penalties or not.
The Jamie Vardy incident.
Absolutely, but like you say, if he 3 games, and in those 3 games back from injury, yes, he's given away X, Y, Z, and then in the 4th game he's looking good and he gets injured, and it's so frustrating.
It's frustrating, like you say. It's given those sort of decisions, it might not be a surprise that Van Gaal's looking, for a replacement, because he's a very tactical manager. He loves disciplined sides, and perhaps Rafael is just a bit too ill-disciplined for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Would Rafael make a good sort of backup for right back behind someone like Cuadrado? Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good option. But as well,
do I fancy our chances at signing Cuadrado now that Chelsea are interested? Perhaps it's a London thing. Perhaps they'd rather live in London than in Manchester. Who knows?
Yeah, plenty of players have done that. We've lost plenty of players to, the call of London. It's just one of those things, isn't it? You can't reason for it. It's just something that foreign players will necessarily want to come and live in, one of the biggest cities in the world.
Absolutely, and obviously then we've got the other targets that plenty has been said about this season so far, especially through January as well. Coleman and Klein from Southampton. I thought Klein played extremely well against us a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And within a couple of minutes, he ripped straight through us and had a shot on target or on goal. Luckily, it didn't do anything. I think out of Coleman and Klein, I think we'd be more likely to be able to sign Coleman from Everton, but I would prefer Klein from Southampton.
Yeah, I'd back that completely. I mean, Everton aren't doing too well. They could probably use the money to rebuild. But as you say, I think Klein's a great option. Speaking of the defence as well, particularly in the centre, I mean, there's been a lot of talk, but we're looking for centre-backs, obviously. Yesterday, Valencia said an unknown side bid for Nicolas Otamendi, but United have apparently denied bidding for him. Whereas Manchester Evening News last night said that United are happy to wait for Mats Hummels until the summer. It's a tough one, this, because United's defence is obviously a concern, but since City's loss at Arsenal at the weekend, United have actually conceded fewer goals, Premier League goals this season than City. I mean, so our defence isn't in that bad a shape when you compare it to the top sides. But still, the problem seems to be, getting proper ball-playing defenders carrying the ball out from the back to make Van Gaal's system work. So do you think we need a January signing to sort of implement Van Gaal's strategy? Because the 3-5-2 really isn't working at the moment without that. Or do you think we should wait until the summer for someone like Hummels, who's world-class and is going to slot straight in?
I personally, in my own opinion, I don't see us signing anybody else this window. If we were to sign someone this window, it would be sort of along the same lines as Zaha in Fergie's last year. We bought him and loaned him straight back. Now, obviously, Dortmund are in a dogfight down at the bottom. Now, if Dortmund were to get relegated, I could see Hummels coming quite cheaply because they'd need to get him off the books for their finances. It could be worthwhile sticking in a cheeky bid now, I don't know, 30 million, and say, but you can have him straight back on loan. But then how does that help us, other than the fact that we've definitely signed him for the summer? The same sort of thing with Strootman. Again, what would be the point in it now, unless we were actually going to make use of the player now? And I can't see Roma selling now. So that one will. And as for the MEN to come out and say United are happy to wait until the summer, I don't think it's a case of happy to wait. I think it's a case of being made to wait, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, because we know the type of person Hummels is. He's a fighter. He was made BVB captain last year, so he's obviously got a lot of love for the club. He's been there for a while, and Jurgen Klopp obviously has a really strong bond with his players. So I think almost in a way, I mean, I'd be delighted if we signed Hummels this January, but I think in a strange way, I'd almost be more happy if he stayed and fought to help Dortmund stay up, because it's a good indicator of a player when a team's in trouble, especially a team close to their heart, what they do. And I think if Hummels stayed and helped Dortmund climb the table and avoid relegation, and they wouldn't begrudge him a move in the summer. They would, say, thank you very much, we'll take the £35 million and move on. But, I'd be less inclined maybe to sign him if he was ready to sort of jump ship when the team needs him most. It's a strange one.
Yeah, I mean, you could sort of say if he was to jump ship now, you could there were similarities as to what Vidic done last season. I know obviously his contract was up, but for him to have come out in January and said, "Oh, I'm going," sort of sat down there in seventh. I know there was a lot of unrest between him and Moyes, and he wanted out, and I don't blame him in some respects. If the club hadn't offered him a new deal, then he has to look after himself at the end of the day. Whether he loves the club or not, he needs to secure his own future. Although all those thousands of pounds going into his bank balance every week, I'm sure that his future looked a bit wobbly without a contract. But you know what I mean. So,
of course, it's about the family as well. I mean, there have been reports ever since he moved to United that his wife wasn't quite happy in Manchester and preferred the continent. And there were rumours as far back as 3 or 4 years ago that he'd promised her once his United career ended that they'd move to a warmer country, Spain or Italy. And you can't. He's given many years of service to United, and a move to Italy. You can't begrudge him that. It's just it's a fantastic place to live.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things, and there's a lot of people that get on his back still. That obviously he jumped ship. You could see it like that. But at the end of the day, his deal had ended, and if he'd have made, regardless as to who the manager was, if he sort of said to his wife, "This is what's going to happen with my career when my contract ends,"
Mm.
you don't want to turn around to the wife and say, "I've changed my mind, love."
Exactly. It's a really good point you made there, because I mean it's interesting. I think quite often in January or the summer or any time really, like fans assume that players can be traded like it's a game of FIFA where you just put in a bid and the player has no say. But it's January transfer window. We've got to remember that these are real people as well. No matter how detached from reality they are, with them, with millions in the bank, and football's become a different beast, but it's you forget that there are people too who might want to live in a certain place in a different country. Their family might want to change. So there's all these factors that sort of go into transfers that you can't just say, I want that player. That player's coming. Or it's modern football is a massive change from even say 10 years ago. But there's so much that goes into a transfer that, as I was saying with Hummels before, it might be nice to actually see him stay in Germany and then come to United in the summer.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer I can't see it happening in January. So I think if we're going to get Hummels, he'll come in the summer. But then again, that will depend on as to where we do actually finish in the table.
Exactly. Yeah. Is he gonna? I mean,
as long as we've got Champions League football, I would say we will get Hummels in the summer. I'm not putting anything on it because I don't know. I don't have a direct line to Ed or to Dortmund or to anybody.
You even want a direct line?
Transfer speculation is one of the worst things. It's one of the things that I really hate doing because nobody actually knows for sure. It's not, oh, here's FIFA. Let's go on FIFA and buy someone. Like you just said, it doesn't happen like that in the real world. And no matter how realistic FIFA or Football Manager get, it's never actually going to actually mirror real life. And I mean, you always get we've been linked to such and such. Let's go on FIFA quickly and see what FIFA say about him.
Yeah.
It's all right. There is a level of reality to it, but it's not quite real, and you need to realise this.
I think it's a good point. Like, people are in danger of sort of treating a simulation of a football game as if you can just pop down the shops and buy a player, and move his family to another country and they'll be completely happy. We see, players, struggle. People fail, like Soldado. People fail when they're obviously top class, and they just fail for one reason or another. And there's so much more behind the scenes that I think that's what frustrates fans. But they also have to take into account that these type of things happen.
I mean, why would anybody want to move from sunny Spain to rainy Manchester, for goodness sake?
For the love of the club, Shaun.
For the badge, I remember.
Actually, speaking of someone who has moved from sunny Spain to rainy Manchester, I mean, we've signed former Barcelona legend Victor Valdez as our backup keeper, supposed backup keeper. The future of David De Gea is still uncertain. Been linked with, he's obviously been linked with Real Madrid. The papers have been talking recently. I mean, don't know how much stock to put in the Daily Star at all, but they said we've slapped a 50 million price tag on him and we're set to offer him £200,000 a week deal. And that's unheard of for a goalkeeper. So the thing is with the Valdez signing is, I think it's a great insurance policy for in case De Gea leaves. But what do you think of it, Shaun? Do you think he's going to be happy to be a backup, or do you think this is the end? This is the beginning of the end for De Gea at Old Trafford?
I think, like 99.9% of all United fans, I'm happy to go along and say that everyone will say they would be extremely upset if De Gea left. Valdez, like you just said then, is a fantastic backup player insurance policy. I would if I had that direct line to Ed that I don't have, I would be on the phone now telling him just to tie him down for the next 15 years and give him what the hell he wants. Because he is, if not the best, he's one of the top 5 goalkeepers in the world now. And how old is he?
23, I think.
So, goalkeepers go on for a long while, 15 years. I mean, if we could tie him down for a contract that long, I mean, it's never going to happen. But and then the contracts mean absolutely nothing anyway. But if we could tie him down for 15 years until he's 38 years old, that's his whole career. It would be absolutely fantastic. And if it cost us 250k a week for 15 years, then so bloody be it. He is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Yeah, and worth it, the amount of points he has saved us this season is keeping us in the top half of the table.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, these type of wages, say 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, United have always been big spenders in the sense that they can go out and, say, buy one top-class player every summer, for a big bucks. We've broken the British transfer record many times over, Varane, Di Maria, the list goes on. But, I suppose the key difference now is that with the sheer amount of commercial success that Ed Woodward's brought to the club, I mean, you can argue whether he's been successful in the transfer market or not, but there's no denying that United have built up fantastically over the last 3 or 4 years on the commercial side of things. We can actually compete, with Real Madrid, Barca, with anyone in the world. We can compete with PSG and City now in terms of money. So I suppose the thing is, if we can afford De Gea for 250 grand a week on a long-term contract, then we should pay it, because the money, otherwise the money's just sitting in a bank account or going on the debt. It needs to be on the pitch. I think most United fans would agree with you there.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at the stupid money that Wayne Rooney's being paid. Why is he being paid £300,000 a week? Because he's world class. Why is Aguero being paid such stupid money every week? Because he's world class. Why shouldn't a goalkeeper get that sort of money as well? I mean, you said that 50 million price tag is unheard of for a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But for a world class goalkeeper, I would slap even more on him, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and we're operating in a completely different time now. It's the time of super clubs where Real Madrid can go out and spend 100 million euros on Bale and 80 million euros on James Rodriguez in the same. It's just these type of figures are just almost obscene. But Real Madrid can spend it because they have it. United now can spend it because they have it. So you feel we really should be spending if we want to become one of those elite clubs again that are talked about in the same circles as Barcelona and Real Madrid. We've got to be spending the money. The money has to be on the pitch in the top class players.
I mean, you look back, and this is something I'm nicking this from somebody else. I've seen this in a blog the other day. They say that the defence wins your championships, your goalkeepers wins your Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
You need that world class goalkeeper, Van der Sar, Schmeichel. It's that's just the 2 goalkeepers that I know that I have seen. De Gea is along those lines. For me, out of those 2, I've just mentioned, Schmeichel is for me the better one of the 2. De Gea has so much time ahead of him to be so much better than Schmeichel. And if this rumour to swap De Gea for Bale, I've never heard such a bunch of codswallop in my life. What even is that all about? Why would we've already got Di Maria, Rooney, Van Persie. Okay, he's knocking on the door of retirement or moving elsewhere to finish his career. Falcao, okay, that's up in the air. But if he stays, we've already got these world-class attacking players. Why do we need to add Bale in there as well? And incidentally, we've already got all these attacking world-class players that Van Gaal can't even fit into any kind of system, so that they're in their preferred positions. So why do we want to go and chuck another one in there?
And as you say there, I mean, we've got so many world-class attackers, but our defence. You look along the back line. I think Luke Shaw has the potential to become one of the best left backs in the Premier League, potentially Europe. You can extrapolate that to he could become in 7 or 8 years one of the top left backs in the world. But there's a lot of time ahead of him to develop. He needs to develop physically, tactically, mentally. But De Gea is the one player in the United team you'd look at now and say he's world class, and that's the only one, I think. So we need to keep players like that. We need to build on that.
I think if everybody is fit, if we had a complete fit squad as of today, and Van Gaal had to name an 11-man squad, De Gea is going to be the first name on that sheet, or possibly second after Rooney.
Definitely.
Can't drop the captain. Make De Gea the captain then, because he would be the first name on any team sheet in this country, possibly with the exception of Courtois.
That's cool. Excellent call. Could make him captain.
Yeah. I think De Gea for let's say 17 out of the 20 teams in the English Premier League would be the first name goalkeeper on every team sheet.
Yep.
And that goes for the most of Europe as well. Let's not be funny. There may be 10 teams in the whole of Europe that wouldn't put De Gea down as their first choice goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, and he's, as you say, he's only 23, so he's got so much more time to develop.
And actually, whilst we're just on De Gea, can I just say to make sure you subscribe to the channel for your chance to win a signed picture of De Gea out of my collection that I got last August.
Absolutely superb. Get subscribing, people, because Shaun will wing that to you if you're the winner. And you know, it might be the last bit of memorabilia before David De Gea moves on to Madrid. So
I'll tell you what, if he goes, I'll be absolutely gutted that I've given away this picture.
You'll be asking for it back. Nice email from the United View coming your way, people. All right, one last bit of transfer information. A lot of clubs have been linked with Palermo attacker Paulo Dybala. Palermo have come out and said that the 21-year-old is going to sign a new contract with the club, but at the same time, the president also mentioned that he's sure someone's going to come in for him for the summer. So it looks more like a contract to ensure that Dybala gets a nice little bump in his salary and Palermo get a nice fee this summer. So have you seen any of Dybala, Shaun, or do you think we need another attacker, another young attacker, considering the age of our forwards, or are you happy with what we've got at the moment?
Well, what I did last night when I seen his name pop up is I popped onto FIFA, and FIFA says he's fast.
Yeah.
He's just fantastic, and everybody's got to buy him. That's what FIFA says, anyway.
Yeah.
Personally, no, I haven't seen him. I've not seen an awful lot about him. I've just seen what FIFA says because other people have told me.
Yeah.
Do we need another attacker? Again, it's the same with Bale, isn't it? Where actually, if you look at our squad, if it was fully fit today, where would he fit into the squad?
He'd be on the bench.
Come the summer, Falcao's all up in the air. Let's face it, 42 million for a 29-year-old in the summer is that hasn't had the best of seasons. Like, he's getting over injuries, and it was a long injury. It wasn't a couple of weeks out. I've seen the rumours going around that apparently we're negotiating it down to 30 million. I'd still be a bit iffy spending 30 million on a 29-year-old that's had a fairly poor season. He could actually blitz the league now. I don't know. I've seen, so apparently he's warned everybody that once he starts scoring, that's it. He's going to score. But then we've been saying that all season. So hasn't what's he scored? 3?
Yeah,
hasn't come off yet, has it? But my only worry is if we don't sign him permanently, that someone else will, and the scoring boots will come on, and he'll just hammer it.
Well, so he's proven that, hasn't he? It's a frustrating one because he's proven wherever he's been in his career, he's scored goals. He's scored goals reliably. He scored fantastic ones. You know, he can score from anywhere: overhead kicks, chips with his head, bicycle kicks. He can do everything, but he's just not doing it for United. And you feel like if we let him go, then he'd just go and do it somewhere else. But as we were saying before, sometimes, even though Falcao says he's happy at Manchester, sometimes it's just not the right fit between club and player, tactics, manager. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and you have to accept that.
Well, I think, like I was saying on Sunday night's show, on the review show, is the Premier League a league for him? We've seen with so many players in the past that they've come in and they've been absolutely fantastic, tenacious little players, great skill on the ball, that they just don't fit in England. And I'm not just talking the likes of Shinji Kagawa, for instance. I'm talking players for other clubs as well.
Shevchenko, one of the best players in the world, and he was blocked.
Mario Balotelli. I mean, he ain't turned it back on, has he? He's had it easy in Italy for a little while, and then he's come back here, and he's absolutely dog crap.
Yeah.
Well, is he actually injured at the moment? Because I seen him watching their game last night on television. What was that all about?
I think he was just left out. I think he's been left out of the last couple of squads or so. He might have had the flu or a virus or something like that. But
anyway, never mind. What are we talking about? Yeah. But sort of that ilk of player that just cannot do it in England, and it is a hard physical league. That I'm not saying that the other leagues in Europe are easy, but it's a difficult one. It's Falcao suited to the Premier League. I've seen a lot of people saying that he should be, but with his injuries, just to get up to the pace of it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got everything you think he would need to succeed. He's got fantastic work rate. He's pretty quick on the ball. He's not lightning quick, but he's fast enough to get away from defenders and fool them. He's strong. He's got a good eye for goal. Well, allegedly a good eye for goal. Before coming to United. But it's frustrating because you think he seems to be the perfect fit for United, but I don't think we're creating enough for him. I personally think he'd be a fantastic signing if we had another creative player on the wing, but we just don't. Van Gaal doesn't play that system. And I think for as long as we're going to play 3-5-2, Falcao doesn't necessarily suit that.
And also with, obviously we're trying to fit this chappie in from Palermo. Do we need him? We said just now, Van Persie's will be 33 this year, or for the start of next season. Obviously, got about 18 months left to run.
I think he's going to turn 32 this year, and he's got 18 months left to run. And there's talk that he might not be offered a new deal. So,
at that age, is it worth a new deal? I mean, he's not firing this season. Generally, when they're offered an extra year, they're offered the same terms that they've been on the year before. So, what are we paying him at the moment? 200,000.
It's got to be close to that. Between
200,000 a week for for an attacker that isn't scoring goals. That his movement isn't brilliant. He's not very quick. From what I can sort of remember from past seasons, not necessarily with us, with Arsenal as well, he hasn't got lightning fast pace.
No, he's always relied on his movement to create the chances.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him go this summer. Actually, to be quite honest,
it would with Falcao's future up in the air as well, and Rooney potentially playing in a deeper role. That would effectively leave James Wilson as our own forward. So while we're talking about the defence, the forward line could have a whole new rebuild this summer, couldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And personally, I think that Van Gaal needs to rebuild pretty much the whole squad. I know there are rumours about Fletcher going to West Brom, and apparently Valencia have popped up after him as well.
Yeah.
And I think, as much as I really admire Darren Fletcher for getting over his illness and coming back, he's just not the player he was. No. And I think it would be absolutely fantastic for him to go to a club like West Brom, where he would excel. I think it could be a really, really good signing for West Brom.
Yeah.
We're really going in January. This is the thing. I personally don't think there's a space for him in our squad now. Now that we've got Carrick and Blind fit, but then looking at how our injuries have gone this season, we're already, one of those injured, and then we're a bit thin on the ground again. So, yeah, exactly. I think if West Brom took him in January, I think that would be a really good bit of business for them. And I don't think we'd be losing too much.
No, I mean, as you say, he's been fantastic in getting over his illness, and it's been a great road back. It's been great for United fans to see him back on the pitch, but I think maybe it's time for him to move on and get regular football.
Absolutely. I mean, especially if he's still got sort of ambition with Scotland as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's got. If he manages his illness well, he's got another 4 or 5 years because he's exceptionally fit.
Absolutely. But he hasn't got that long at United because we're a. And it probably sounds really disrespectful to him and to clubs along the lines of West Brom. They're at a different level. United are at a different level to what Fletcher is.
Yeah, definitely. And if we're looking to bring in Strootman in the summer as well, that just would further narrow his chances.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just going to stick him on the bench, and he'll be getting the odd game in with the reserves. And as I say, his ambition with Scotland, if he's still got that, he needs to be playing week in, week out, or at least be in a squad every week.
Yeah, yeah, he needs to be for the good of his career, and hopefully he can get that move.
I I I
Well,
would I admire Fletcher for his determination to get over the illness. He was a good player. He won't be that player anymore. I'd be sad to see him go,
yeah,
just
I think every United fan would agree with you there. It'd be sad to see him out the exit door.
but I'd be sad to see De Gea go as well, but a different kind of sad.
A tearful sad, I think. I think everyone can agree with that.
Just so he can progress and carry on his career, because he can't do it at United.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right, well, that's everything. That's all we've got time for today with the United Views transfer roundup. You can catch us on at the United View if you have any suggestions on Twitter. If you've got any praise, any criticism, let it all come in. We love it. Where can people find you tweeting, Shaun?
I'm at Shaun MUFC20, SHAUN MUFC20.
Cheers. Thanks for stepping in at the last minute today.
That's all right, no problem. It's always fun recording these shows.
Yeah, always is. All right, I'm Tom Doyle. You can find me tweeting at Tom J Doyle, and remember at the United View for all transfer news, rumours, gossip, and more. Bye for now.
Yeah.